I say something first, and then...
No, you speak all the way.
No, all the way is till 1 o'clock, but you gotta go, so...
It's fine.
Okay, I'll call on you. So, I just read this yesterday, and it kind of jumped at me how Prabhupada is making the point very strongly that to share and distribute Krishna consciousness with the world is not a stereotype activity. It is not something which just works everywhere in the same way, but it goes according to time, place, and circumstance. Just like he's explaining here, how Hari Bhakti Vilas, our Vaishnava Smriti, these are the standards which Sanatana Goswami set forth. All the things we do, like worship the deity, even taking a bath, putting on tilak, all these things are compiled, they're written down by our acharyas. Whatever we do in this Krishna consciousness movement is authorized, it is authentic, it's bona fide. But according to time, place, and circumstance, it may vary according to the situation. Just like we have certain rules and regulations which can be very well followed in India, but in other countries it's very difficult to follow them. Any of such instances which come to your mind? Something which is very easy to follow in India, but it is very difficult in the West. For instance, can you give us an example?
Fasting.
Fasting. Why is it difficult in the West?
Well, I suppose it depends where you go, but sometimes to really say opulence in the West makes it a little difficult in India.
Getting up early.
Getting up early.
A vegetarian, being a vegetarian.
Being a vegetarian.
May be difficult in some countries.
Okay, I said just give you ideas, I'm not going to judge them. Segregating men and women. In India, common thing, very natural, right? Even in the train compartments, different trains, this and that. Here is like, it's almost impossible. What else? Social customs, so many things. There's so many norms which are just accepted as normal in one place, and in another place they consider it as very strange, and vice versa. Like in some countries it's perfectly alright to walk around naked. In other countries it's perfectly not alright to walk around completely covered. In fact, they've passed laws in the European Union that if they're wearing that, what do they call it? Yeah,
Shadow.
the burqa, if they're wearing their cover, that they can get fined.
Yeah.
So, we're not judging, we're just saying what goes in one place may not necessarily go in another place. I was in Mayapur and I patted my accountant on the shoulder and he looked at me with this very scared look, like, why do you hit me? But here in the West, if you pat somebody on the shoulder, it just means, hey, we're friends. It's like, it's a buddy-buddy thing, right? It's just a normal thing. You do that in England? Pat somebody on the shoulder? Quite a lot, right? Even Indians who grew up here in England, you do it. But back home, if you do that, it will just not work. People can just not relate to it. So he just thought that, what's wrong now? Like, why are you aggressing me in this way? So then I just went like this, and then he became happy. Because that he could relate to. Or just like something else, like in India you may walk around, you see two men holding hands, and they're walking around. They're even embracing, they're holding each other's ear or this or that. It's perfectly alright, isn't it? If you see the same thing in the West, it means a different thing, It's not perfectly alright. So, different places, different circumstances. In the same way, if you want to preach Krishna consciousness, you have to know how to connect with the people. You see, you go into London or you go into the countryside, there's a different speed, there's a different attitude, there's a different way how people communicate and how they carry themselves. So the art of the preacher, his indicator of success is to be able to feel the pulse. What is required for the people? What does it take to connect to these people? Now, somebody might say, well then let's just study social sciences, let's just study psychology and behaviorism and, whatever goes along with it. You just have to become very good at, guessing people's mindset and people's jobs and all that. And whoever is the most perceptive person will be the best preacher or the best book distributor. But that may not necessarily be the case. Because we see many people who are very brilliant speakers, who are very brilliant in social dealings, but they can still not connect to the person. Because your ability to speak or your ability to relate on a material platform is not necessarily going to determine whether you can actually touch the heart of that person. It may make it easier that that person will listen to you, but it will not determine whether or not that person will take you seriously. So we have to determine what are we selling and what are the people buying. What are we doing out there? What's actually happening? What's transpiring? Now, a mundane person who observes this may say this is a, pep talk for salesmen before their marathon, before their yearly sales drive. So, but actually we're not selling anything because these books are priceless. So you can't sell them. They're too costly. Nobody can afford that. These books are like the VIP ticket to the spiritual world. Now if you're going and you're getting a ticket for a movie theater, how much is it here? 7, 8 pounds, like that. You go and you see a big concert, you may go up to 40, 50 pounds. If it's special seats, maybe 100, maybe 200 pounds. Now if you get a VIP ticket to the spiritual world, to go back home, back to Godhead, can you put a price on that? Radhanath Swami Maharaj had a fundraiser in New York for yoga. They're teaching yoga in the inner city schools to the kids who go to those ghetto schools. And they had a fundraiser. Gwyneth Paltrow was there, Madonna was there, all the big people were there. And he was there also, and he gave a talk. And to be able to enter into that assembly, you have to pay minimum $500 for a plate of food. If you want to book a table, you have to pay $25,000. And if one guy paid $250,000 to sit on the same table with Madonna. $250,000 just to sit on the same table with a celebrity for a couple of hours. So, how much would you pay for a VIP ticket? Snacks and drinks included, to the spiritual world. It's priceless. But that's what we're giving people. If you give people a book by Srila Prabhupada, you're giving them the ticket with which they can go back to the spiritual world. If they take it seriously, it's all contained in the book. Now the question is, do we believe that? Or do we think that we're just moving paper and ink and cardboard, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has said, we're not construction workers. We're not just moving bricks and stones. We just pack out the books and we bring back the money and, we do our duty. No. We are actually doing the most confidential service which there is. And what is that service? To try to connect every living entity with Krishna. That is the work of the gopis. They're trying to bring all living entities back to Krishna. Connect everybody with Krishna. That is a very confidential service. When you're giving somebody a book and you see that person going from dull to ecstatic, when you see that transformation, it goes in a second. It's like tsak. You're able to perceive something very confidential, something very deep. You see how that ecstasy of the soul comes out. Have you all perceived that? When that person all of a sudden it goes click? That's something